Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we had two more really good games of basketball. I'm kind of just going to glaze over the Celtics Raptors game because I had to choose which game I was going to watch and do my homework during the other one. And it was a pretty easy choice that I was going to watch the game 7 between the Jazz and Nuggets. So I'll talk about the Celtics Raptors a little bit, but really this video is going to be all about Utah Denver. In that Celtics Raptors game, Jason Tatum went off. This guy's just been huge for them in the series. 34 points, 8 for 17, 4 for 7. Got to line 14 times and sunk all 14 of his free throws. This guy is so good. He's getting closer to that superstar role in my mind. He's just playing out of his mind right now. He's keeps on getting better and better as a shot maker, as a playmaker. His turnovers are going down. He continues to be a good rebounder. He's just a really special talent, and I think that if he continues playing like this, the Celtics team is capable of winning the championship this year. Marcus Smart also had a huge game, knocking down those 5 threes in the fourth. Huge for him. Pretty much gave his team the lead from what I saw. Just really special performance from him. Came up clutch. OG Anunoby had a big game with 20 points on 7 for 12 shooting, 4 for 6 from 3, so he's knocking down his shots. This guy isn't a big create his own shot type of guy, so I'm guessing a lot of his shots were off of catch and wide open lane dunk or catch and shoot threes. But still good for the Raptors to see him getting that kind of contribution. The Celtics got some good play out of their bench. Grant Williams played his role. He's a good defender, good rebounder. Not a great shooter, but he had a pretty good plus minus. Time Lord had another good game with 11 points and 4 rebounds and limited play time. 5 for 5 from the field, so just continues to play well there. Tice also had 9 rebounds but didn't shoot the ball very well. But good center minutes from the Celtics once again. And finally, Siakam, Anunoby, Lowry, and Van Vliet all played 40-plus minutes. Or I guess Anunoby was 38, so they have 4 guys play 38-plus minutes. That's a lot of minutes. These guys are going to get tired out. We just saw it in the Utah series with the Jazz players just being gassed down the stretch. So hopefully Toronto can figure it out because it's not looking too good for them right now and not looking too good for my prediction of Raptors in 7, although I'm not yet ready to panic because this team was down 2-0 to the Bucks last year and they showed a lot of grit by winning 4 straight games, so I would not eliminate that from as a possibility that could happen here. Utah, Denver. Game started off with Joe Ingles attacking, but he kind of disappeared throughout the rest of the game. And I mean, this series was just incredible. The whole of it. Up until this game, both teams were just shooting the ball incredibly. That's why it looked like the defense was so bad. And obviously the defense wasn't good, but it wasn't as absolutely atrocious as the numbers would indicate outside of the Jazz or the Nuggets performance in games 2 through 4. That was really bad. But other than those 3 games on the Nuggets end, the defense really wasn't that terrible. Both teams were just hitting their shots at a remarkable efficiency. So today when the shots went cold, they both looked really bad on offense and the defenses looked good for a change. I just want to talk about Donovan Mitchell. I'm probably going to talk about him for 5 minutes straight, so just a warning. And I will say I am biased as a big Donovan Mitchell fan. I think that he's going to be a really good player. I know that after this, a lot of people are going to say he's not clutch, he can't take care of the ball. But just think about what he was asked to do in this game. He started off poorly, and he had to work so hard. His team was losing 50-31, and he got the lead down to 65-60. And he pretty much did that single-handedly. He scored about, 12, 14, 16 straight points for the Jazz or something like that. Carried the team back into the game, put the team on his back, and got them back. Closed the gap and made it a much more manageable deficit. He got his team back into the game single-handedly, and that was just so impressive from such a young player to see him do that. And then he took over on Jamal Murray. in the second half. He took over defending Jamal Murray, and he did a great job. Put the clamps on Jamal, held him to 7 for 21 shooting from the game. And obviously Royce was on Jamal for much of the game, and they also trapped Jamal quite a bit and forced him to create out of the trap, which was something that he struggled with a bit. But Donovan was just exerting so much energy on defense, and he had to work so hard to get them back into the game. He just looked gassed. He looked so sluggish in the last 2 minutes of the game. And it's just a shame because I really would have liked to see him with the same bounce that he had in the first couple games of this series in this Game 7. Because if he would have had that, I definitely think that the Jazz would have won this game. He just was asked to do so much and got so little help from the rest of his team that he finally just ran out of energy down the stretch in this game. And that's where it showed. Jamal Murray had his partner in crime. He had the Joker. But Donovan just didn't have enough help. If Bogdan would have been here, I believe that this Jazz team would have taken care of business in Game 5. Obviously, it's a completely different series, so maybe the situation is not the same, and the Jazz don't have a chance to close it out in Game 5. But I just feel like if you would have had that extra help from that extra 20-point scorer, this series would have been completely different. Because Donovan Mitchell hit so many big shots in this series, so many tough shots with the step backs and getting to the rim and finishing tough floaters over Jokic and difficult reverse layups. He just was hitting every difficult shot. The Nuggets were not giving him easy looks by any stretch, especially in games 5 through 7. And I believe he averaged probably something around 35 points per game in those 3 games once the Nuggets really stepped up their defense after seeing how despicable their defense was in games 2 through 4. They really just picked it up, ramped up the defensive intensity, and Donovan Mitchell continued to play well up until tonight. And I get that people are going to rag on him a ton. He had 9 turnovers. I get it. That's not good. But you could tell tonight this guy wanted it more than anyone else on the court. His emotions after every play, he was just so pumped and so excited to see his teammates do well. He was excited for his own success. He was so disappointed whenever the Nuggets hit a big shot because he just wanted to win so badly, and I could just see it in his eyes. I don't want to invoke this because it didn't end up going very well, but the way he looked after this, the potential game-winning shot by Mike Conley just didn't drop after it rattled in and out. He just looked so dejected, and it reminded me of Joel Embiid after that Kawhi shot last year and when he cried on his way off the floor at the Air Canada Center. And I get that that was not great for Joel, and he did not come back this season and make great improvements, but I believe that with the hard work we've seen Donovan put in so far, and the rapid improvement we've seen from him. I mean, keep in mind, this guy was a baseball player up until the age of 16. He didn't start on his Louisville team as a freshman. As a sophomore, he took a big step forward and became a lottery pick. But then in his rookie season, he had the ball in his hands in the NBA. In his rookie year, he had the ball in his hands way more frequently than he did at Louisville as a sophomore. So he went from being a college player to an NBA player, and he got more touches. And now, in his career, he's taken small steps forward now that he's reached the NBA. Obviously, first year to second year, there wasn't a huge improvement. This year, he made an all-star team. Next year, I believe that there's a big jump coming from Donovan Mitchell. I think that next year, obviously, it's way too early to make some offseason predictions, but I could see him making a jump to being a second-team All-NBA level player next year. I just think that he's going to get in the gym these next couple months. He's going to work super hard. He's going to become better at knocking down that step back like he showed in this series. He's going to get better at knocking down that shot. He's going to work on his handle and improve his handle because that clearly wasn't great with all the turnovers he piled up in this series. I think he's going to watch a lot of film and improve his decision-making. I just think that all the areas that he needs to improve in, he's going to make an effort to make those improvements, and next year he's just going to come back as an even better player. now that I've given my Donovan Mitchell rant and provided my reasoning for why I love this guy, in case you missed it, the main reason is the emotion and the work ethic that I've seen from him. I just think that he's going to have a super special season next year. But back to the game. Jeremy Grant was pretty aggressive against Jordan Clarkson early, and Clarkson fared pretty well. He forced a turnover, and he forced a missed shot. And after that, they didn't go back to that matchup too much anymore, the Nuggets, that is. And I thought that was a big mismatch that they could exploit, but they really didn't do it. Same thing with when Clarkson was on Paul Millsap, but Millsap just really was a non-factor in this series. He didn't do much of anything at all. The Jazz kind of lacked urgency early. They were settling for a lot of difficult shots early in the shot clock, and I thought they could have done a better job with that. But they really weren't that difficult of shots. They were just not falling. The looks just weren't falling for either team in this game, and that's why the score was 80-78 instead of 120-118. The Jazz put on a mini run to end the first half, and after that I was like, okay, maybe they've got a chance to get back in this one. Little did I know Donovan Mitchell was about to heat up and score those 14 straight points for the Jazz to get them right back in the game. Go from having 2 points to 16 points like that. That was really special. Brought the Jazz back into the game. I thought it was interesting that Quinn Snyder moved Rudy Gobert off of Nikola Jokic so that they could go to their preferred pick and roll defense when they were having Royce O'Neal on Jokic, and then they would switch every pick and roll. That was probably the main reason why they put Donovan on Jamal Murray to begin with, because they wanted to have O'Neal on Jokic so that they could have that more switchable, mobile guy on the screener, so they could make the switch when necessary. And I think that it worked very, very well. It was a great adjustment by Quinn Snyder. This guy's a really good coach, and he made the call he needed to make, and it really paid off in this game. Jamal Murray shot 7 for 21, 1 for 6 from 3, and had 17 points. And, 17 points is still a lot, but it's a far cry from what he had been doing the rest of the series. He's just such a rhythm player. If you can get him out of that rhythm by getting him out of his comfort zone and forcing him to take difficult out-of-rhythm shots, that's where you can slow Jamal Murray down. And I don't think the Clippers are going to have any trouble with that, which is why I don't think this is going to be much of a series at all, especially because Zubats, looked like he can certainly hold his own against Jokic with how well he played in that Mavericks series. So I'm not sure the Nuggets will be much of a competition at all for the Clippers, but we'll get to that more in my Western Conference semifinals preview video that should be coming out probably on Thursday, I think, since that is the day that the day after the Rockets Thunder game. So look forward to that one coming up. I also think I'll have a Jazz offseason preview video coming up pretty soon. Not sure if it'll be today, because you guys will be seeing this on September 2nd, or if it'll be on September 3rd or September 4th or September 5th, whenever. It'll be up sometime. But, yeah, I'm not sure that that'll be a great series. Michael Porter Jr. was certainly passable on D in today's game. In 17 minutes, he was actually a +8, which was, I think, the best plus-minus on the entire Nuggets roster. He finished with 10 points and 9 rebounds in those limited minutes, so he was rebounding the ball really well. That's certainly something I've seen with him. He just has a lot of Tatum in his game, I think. He's gotten the Kevin Durant comparison before, but I see more Tatum. Just a really good rebounder, a fluid scorer. He just needs to make improvements on defense for certain before he can become that Jason Tatum-like player. Mike Conley had a very tough game. He had 8 points and 7 assists, but he only shot 2 for 13 from the field. This guy was shooting 60% from the three-point line heading in, and you knew that was not something that he was going to be able to uphold. So to see him fall off, it's disappointing that it had to come in an elimination game like this, but it was bound to happen at some point. Rudy Gobert really stepped up in his absence, and Rudy Gobert really became that second option on offense. He finished with 19 points and 18 rebounds. 7 of those rebounds were offensive rebounds, and it just felt like he was getting a hand on every single rebound possible and trying to tip it to one of his teammates. And that just created so many second chances and extra possessions for the Jazz. So Rudy also did a spectacular job of keeping them in this game. It wasn't Donovan doing it single-handedly by any stretch. Rudy also did a great job protecting the rim. He only finished with 2 blocks, but it felt like he contested just about every shot in the paint. Yeah, the real difference in this game was just the shooting. The shots just weren't falling, so the score looked much different than it has the rest of the series. I talked about Donovan Mitchell's emotions. That was just so incredible to see how much this guy cared and how excited he was for his team. And I just felt so bad for him when they lost. I think that he's ready, and next season he's going to have this team back, and they're going to be fighting for a championship. This is a good team, and you have to keep in mind they didn't have probably their 4th best player. And on a team that's not particularly deep, as we saw with Juwan Morgan getting a lot of minutes, that's a big loss for them. So having Bojan come back next year, this team's got a chance to put together a special season, I believe. But we'll talk about that more in my Jazz offseason preview. Once again, getting ahead of myself. Donovan Mitchell did a great job on Jamal Murray, like I said before, but it just really tired him out, and he didn't have enough energy down the stretch to get buckets for the Jazz, which is what they really needed from him. They needed him to be that Jamal Murray closer, and he just wasn't capable of that because of how tired he was. I guess I'll talk a bit about that last minute. Mike Conley's alley-oop to Rudy Gobert, where Rudy got punched in the face by Mason Plumlee. Yeah, that probably should have been a foul, but Rudy's like a 60% shooter from the free throw line. Who knows if he makes that free throw, and even if he does, who knows how big of a difference it makes. The Jazz lost by 2, not 1. And obviously it's a different game. Everything changes if there's a free throw. Who knows what happens from there. But it probably should have been a foul, but that didn't change the game. Like, you can't say that the ref sold the series by any stretch because of that being a no call. It was just such a nice pass by Conley and such a nice catch and finish on Rudy's part. Very, very impressive play on both ends. I couldn't believe it. I thought that they were going to have another shot clock violation because they had a shot clock violation not too many possessions before that, but they got just a perfect pass and perfect finish. Great play. Then Joker comes down, goes in the post, which was something that they really went away from. He had his second fewest post-ups of any game in the entire season in Game 6, but he went back to his post-game much, much more in Game 7 tonight. He finished with 30 and 14 on 12 for 23 shooting, 2 for 5 from the three-point line, and he was shooting much more threes than that in Games 5 and 6 and doing much less in the post. So he kind of went back to his back-to-the-basket game, and he needed to with Jamal not knocking down the perimeter jumpers the way he had. So he just had a great game, really stepped it up, if you can even call it that, because he really just played like he has all season. It's just they haven't needed him to in this series so far because of Jamal Murray's heroics. But he had a great game. And then Gary Harris and Torrey Craig also deserve a lot of credit for tiring Donovan out. They just hounded him the entire second half, guarding him full court pretty much, denying him that inbounds pass. He did get a little bit of what I like to call Damian Lillarditis, where if he's not allowed to catch the inbounds pass, he kind of just goes and stands in the corner and doesn't end up getting a touch on the possession, which is not what you want to see, because when Dame does that, it definitely hurts the Trailblazers, and Donovan was by far the best offensive weapon that the Jazz had. So I would have loved for them to try to get him a touch there on those kinds of possessions, but they still played well. He still played very well. I'm not taking anything away from him. I do think that that's somewhere he could have improved, though, just trying to say, hey, give me the ball. I'm going to get a bucket here for us. But yeah, Gary Harris and Torrey Craig deserve all the credit in the world. They played magnificent basketball, especially Gary Harris coming off of his injury. I give so much credit to that guy just jumping in and doing a great job and helping his team to win back-to-back elimination games. That was just so impressive. And those last 10 seconds are so chaotic. I guess. So what happened? Donovan brought the ball down the court, drove to the rim, got it poked out from behind. Jamal Murray has the ball, drives it down the court, passes to Jeremy Grant, I think it was. One of the Nuggets players besides Jamal. Jamal dished the ball to him. He missed the layup. Conley grabs the rebound. Or no, Rudy grabs the rebound, dribbles the ball close to half court, dumps it off to Conley, and Conley gets a great look from three, and it rolls in and out. I mean, that sequence is just insane. And if that shot would have gone in, that would have been crazy. This was an incredible series. I'm sad that it's over. Sad that the Jazz's season was over because this was one of my favorite teams to watch this year. Love Donovan Mitchell. Love this guy. I think he's going to be something special. And I think I'm excited to see if Denver can do anything to the Clippers. I think that Jokic certainly mounts an interesting matchup, but I also think that Zubats is fully capable of making it very difficult on Joker. So, yeah, I think that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm getting tired. I think it's time to go to bed. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of Donovan Mitchell and what his future potential is. I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be a top 5, maybe top 5 is getting ahead of myself, but a top 10 player in the NBA someday. And I think next season we're going to see a huge jump from him. Yeah, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. And we will see you again very soon.